So I turned 26 this week, yay! And I've been writing a list, or keeping a list for the last couple of weeks, of 26 life lessons that I've learned in 26 years. And I know my YouTube videos are usually a little bit more day in the life, vloggy sort of style, but I felt like I actually wanted to try and just talk and share the things that have really become clear to me in my 25th year. And also I've tried really hard to not make them, you know, the typical like chase your dreams, this and that. Like I'm just gonna like get ready, put my makeup on, like it's gonna be a bit more get ready with me style. Yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I'm gonna just like get cracking. First, okay, skincare first. Teehee. This is my actual influencer dreams, to be fair. And that actually is my first like lesson, and my first point that I've written down is you don't always have to be super introspective. There's just as much room for being silly and for not really making too much out of things. Like I used to think that to have a personality I had to be really deep and introspective and clever all the time. But actually, I treat my Instagram as if I'm an influencer and just put fucking emojis underneath all of my posts, and it really just doesn't matter. Like sometimes I think, oh, I should write something deep about my experience of Bangkok or whatever, but being funny and silly and not too serious doesn't take away from your intelligence. Number 2 of the lessons is whatever you focus on expands. So make sure you're focusing on the right things. You do have the power to focus on things that matter. And if you focus on the positives in your life, you will end up receiving more of them and definitely noticing more of them. So that's definitely been something that I've found. The third thing is like the stuff that you like with pride. So I'm talking about ASMR, but I think it sort of like tracks to most things, which is you can't find people that like the same things as you unless you're open and honest about liking those things. If you have a niche hobby or a niche interest or something that you actually really enjoy, the only way for someone to know that is for you to be honest about it and open about it. And yeah, some people might make fun of you for that, but at the same time, that moment where you do find someone that likes the same thing as you, you'll instantly become so much closer, and it'll be empowering to other people that also like that thing to be able to express that around you. So yeah, for the first time ever recently, I was like, I really like ASMR, and some girls were like, oh my god, me too. And I was like, oh my god, nobody else has ever openly admitted that before, even though obviously ASMR videos get millions and millions of views. So some of y'all are lying. Oh my god, I'm actually terrible at this, but oh well. Also, my mirror is here, so I'll sort of be looking away, I think. Is that good style or not? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Number 4 is actually very appropriate for this sort of video, which is that I'm so proud that I'm a girly girl. And I mean like a girly girl in like the sort of like cringy way, where I do love pink and I am obsessed with my boyfriend, and I do apply every single love song and pop girly song to myself and think of myself in that position and romanticizing everything. And I just think like it is actually, with the internet, such a privilege to be able to share this like idea of girlhood and like the collective consciousness of being a young woman, like in real life but also on the internet. I think that's such a cool thing that I'm getting to experience, and I'm also really grateful that I live in an era where this idea of girlhood is so prominent, because I think it's such a game changer, and it's so much fun. Tell me a guy who's having as much fun as we are. Like, so number 5 is that you have to learn your own lessons. So I've been in situations before where someone can tell me their advice until they're red in the face, but I have to physically do the thing that's a bad idea or that I don't know about before I can learn the lesson. And I feel like that's so true with a lot of my like girlfriends as well. As like, I could just say, listen, I did this, it's a bad idea. But actually they need to experience it for themselves and learn their own lesson and embody that like mistake, say. So yeah, make your own mistakes, learn your own lessons, because there's literally no other way. Someone can't learn them for you, basically. And that actually brings me to point number 6, which is find your own meaning. I used to think that I had to go to different books or influencers or podcasts to find like the meaning of life or find the secrets behind doing things. But actually, the most impactful way for you to find out how to do something in life or to find your meaning in life. It's not for someone else to give it to you, it's for you to go out and experience it and to find your own meaning through experience. And that's how like old people end up so wise, is because they're not just parroting what they've been taught, but they're actually speaking from experience. I read a book recently that was all about like Buddhism and enlightenment and that sort of thing, and basically like everyone's trying to get to enlightenment while they're still young, or while they're still, you know, like in their prime or whatnot. But actually the truest form of enlightenment is basically like the moment before you die, because it's the most experience that you'll ever have, and the time where everything becomes clear, because you've gone out and you've found your own meaning to life. So don't try and find the solution to your problems through asking other people. Go and find out for yourself. Number 7, one of my favorites, and it's one I say all the time, which is like just how you spend your 20s sets the tone for the rest of your life. So if you're not sure whether you're doing the right things right now, think about where you'll be doing the same things as you are now, but in 10 years from now. Would you still happily be doing all the things that you're doing now in your 20s when you're in your 30s and your 40s? Because it's really important to decide what trajectory you'd rather be on, because it definitely catches up with you quickly, do you know what I mean? And attached to that, number 7, is number 8, which is also who you spend it with makes the difference. And I feel like that's, you know, the whole like, the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you're an average of those people. Like, the people that you have around you, think about what the values are that they have and whether they inspire you or make you feel insecure. Do they expand you, or do you retract when you're with them? And who you spend your life with in general pretty much makes all the difference. A big one that I've learned this year has definitely been there's a difference between being open-minded and being open-hearted. I've always considered myself a very open-minded person. When you're open-minded, there's a lot of logic that's applied to that, there's a lot of rationalizing that's applied to that, whereas open-hearted, I think, is more of an energy. And I think that you can be open-minded and want to try something, but also be closed-hearted in the way that you actually truly feel about it. The next one is, if you want to meet a certain type of person, go where that type of person would go. All of the most interesting and coolest people that I've met have been exactly where I would expect to find them. In the gym, in a co-working space, at a networking event. It's actually pretty obvious when you think about it, and I think it also applies to obviously, like, you know, meeting someone that you could be in a relationship with. Being really clear on the kinds of people you want to be around, and then focusing on being that person yourself, obviously. And if you want to be around a person that is successful and motivated, be one yourself, and therefore put yourself in those same situations. That's just been that one's definitely worked for me. And on that same note, in terms of like relationships, is the most important decision in your life is not who your partner is, it's who you choose to become. But then the second most important decision is definitely who your partner is. So this one's a little bit metaphorical, but I'll explain myself later, which is basically the best sunsets that I've ever seen in my life have not been the ones where the sky is completely clear. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, but like, there's an imperfection that makes beauty 100 times better. The sunsets where the sky is completely clear, yeah, okay, it's a nice like gradient or whatever, but it's always the same. It's never different in any way. Whereas like some of the sunsets I've seen here in Thailand, the most crazy ones that I've seen and the most beautiful ones and the most impactful ones have been the ones where there's been like dots of cloud, or actually quite a lot of cloud, where the sun can like bounce off it. And I just feel like that's such an important thing to remember, is imperfections actually make the view or the experience so much more meaningful, because not only are they real, but they're unique to you. That one's how Thailand's been teaching me a lesson or two. Anxiety comes from too much time spent thinking and not enough time spent doing. And I've definitely learned that this year, is if I'm feeling anxious about something, the solution is not to analyze why I'm feeling anxious, it's to actually get up and just do something. And that always makes me feel so much better. The next lesson is that you're allowed to ask for what you want. And I feel like I've learned this one off my dad, because every time we go to a restaurant, he'll ask for a different chair if the chair that he's sat on isn't comfortable, or he'd ask to sit somewhere else if he doesn't like where he sat. And I used to think that that was really problematic. But as I've gotten older, I found that you're within your rights to ask for what you want to make your experience better. Especially if you're paying to be somewhere, or you're paying a lot of money to be somewhere. If you can optimize or improve your experience just by like an extra 10%, why shouldn't you be able to do that? Obviously you can't go on to like treat people badly if the answer is no, but if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. And you're allowed to ask. There's no rules against asking for things. And I think that that's just, it's so true for so many other things, not just where you sat in a restaurant. But like in general, I just think if you have a desire or a need for something that could make your experience in life just 10% better, then there's no reason why you should be afraid to ask. And also like experiencing a couple of no's along the way is probably, you know, like character building and stuff. So advocate for what you want. And along those same lines, another lesson that I've learned, also advocate for what you don't want. And what I mean by that is all of the worst situations that I've been in my adult life, I probably could have avoided or made a lot less painful if I'd have prioritized letting other people feel uncomfortable rather than making myself feel uncomfortable. If I'd have just advocated for my needs, yeah, okay, other people might have felt uncomfortable, and I don't mean treating other people badly, I just mean enacting a boundary, say. If I'd have just done that, then everyone involved, even though it might have looked a bit, you know, cringy or a bit embarrassing, everyone would have come out of that situation a lot better. But I didn't take any action because I didn't want other people to feel bad. So instead I just took all of the feeling bad on me. And then how do you act? Probably not great either. So let other people feel uncomfortable sometimes if it makes you feel more comfortable. The next one is living a 100% healthy lifestyle is actually not healthy. I feel like that one's pretty self-explanatory. But what I mean is like over-focusing on optimizing every part of your like health and fitness routine is actually going to do you probably more mental damage than seeing it in a balanced way where you can eat ice cream with your friends every once in a while. Don't spend your entire life on a diet. Another thing that is like really important to me that I definitely wanted to add to this was life is happening right here, right now. Sometimes I fall into the trap of seeing whatever phase of life I'm in as the preparation for the next phase of life where I finally get that goal or I finally move to that place. And it's like, once I get there, I'm gonna move into a new preparation phase. You're already living life now. So just keep that as a reminder, like don't let life pass you by just because you're preparing for the next phase of it, basically. And like an extra little adjacent point to that is you don't have to earn your right to be alive. The very fact that you're alive means that you're inherently worthy of love and success and joy. So you don't have to actually physically do anything or be super productive or be really strong in the gym before you're allowed to feel worthy of being a human. So just a little extra one for you there. Another thing that I've learned is that the best investments that you'll make are the investments in yourself. And I feel like that might be an obvious one, but at the same time, like I'm always so stingy with money and I'm always like, I'll always get the cheaper gym membership and I'll always pay just that little bit less for something if I can. And I've realized that actually investing in yourself, whether that's like therapy or a personal trainer, it always reaps benefits that are so much bigger than you could even imagine. Also, once you do it once, like once you've spent money on your actual self and your actual like self-development, it's kind of addictive. You realize how much better your life is and how much better you feel when you actually put some money behind your everyday well-being. So don't sleep on that. The sooner you do it, I feel like the better it is. I wish I'd have started doing some of these things when I was like 23 or 24. I mean, I only turned 26, God, but like, you know, early 20s I think is like the most tumultuous time in your life. And having an outside party to be able to help you, whether it is a personal trainer or whether it's a therapist or something like that, I think having an outside person that you can build trust with while you're young allows you to unpack life in real time whilst you're experiencing it as an adult. I think that's super valuable, so try it. Okay, coming up to the last couple now. Number 22 is that you need space and you need silence. And I saw a reel about this the other day, but I've known this to be true for a long time, which is like, I actually need to have no input at all to be able to form one original thought. That's the thing, like, you can't be creative when you're always getting other people's ideas and other people's input. So you have to create boredom to be able to let things sort of come to the surface, because otherwise you're just pushing them down with podcasts and TV shows and music, and sometimes you just need to and that's when your ideas will come to you, and that's when you can be creative, and that's when you can really find out who you are and what your passions are and follow those. The next one is, you can only achieve as far as you can dream. That's basically a cute Pinterest way of saying, I used to fall into this trap of thinking I had to be realistic with goals. Like, I was like, oh, if I could just make $100 a month. And I'm like, while it's obviously helpful to be realistic, I'll be really annoyed if I achieve that goal. But actually, if I'd have just been a bit more ambitious and said, oh, I could make $10,000 a month. Why limit yourself to that? Like, sometimes when I make a design for an app, I'm like, why would someone only pay $10.99 for that? What if I just put $1,000 in there? And I'm just like, it's fun to entertain that idea, but it also just reminds you that that is actually within the realm of possibility. That is the reality for someone out there. So don't just hold yourself back just in the name of being realistic. Like, dream a little, set your ambitions high, you know, shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars, that sort of thing. This one I'm learning more and more, which is that, it's about time to put lipstick on. Everything you want is on the other side of cringe. And I know that that one sort of like gets thrown around a lot, but what I've really noticed is that the things that I find cringe are only cringe until I realize why people are doing them, and then I stop finding them cringe and actually low-key start doing them myself. That is like the crux of it, basically. The things that you see other people doing, they might be cringe to you, but there was a point where it was cringe to them as well, but they realized why they had to start doing that, or why they wanted to start doing that. And one day you'll come to that realization too, and those things will stop being cringe. So if people call you out for being cringy, then all you can really do is feel sorry for them, because a lot of the times they've just not really realized why you're doing it or what benefit it brings you. And one day they will, and then they'll be sorry. No, I'm just kidding. It's only cringe until it's cool. Number 25, which is sort of adjacent to the cringy on the internet thing, is that an important reminder that you have total control over your internet access. You have total control over the things you consume, the things that you don't consume, the way that the internet makes you feel, the things that you post. I feel like social media gets such a bad rap in the sense of people are always like, oh, this is a cesspit and this is a hellhole and this makes me feel like shit. And it's like, you do have some control over that, and you have total control over how much you use the internet, obviously, but you also have the power to curate your feed to make you feel a certain way. So try and angle it in the direction that you want it to feel. If I want to wake up every single morning and scroll on Instagram, then I need to make sure that my Instagram is a place where after 15 minutes I feel so motivated that I want to get up and start working on stuff. I'm just saying, don't sleep on that opportunity, because that's actually a huge benefit. So yeah, that's number 25. And number 26 is that the amount of lessons you learn doesn't have to be proportionate to the age that you are. I know that I've done 26 lessons in 26 years, but it's actually basically only 25. I couldn't think of the last one. That doesn't matter, and that's almost sort of the point, is that you don't have to always learn more and more lessons every year that you get older, and like, you don't have to be able to quantify the lessons that you've learned into a certain age. It's okay if you learn one lesson a year, but it was an important lesson that, like I said, you really embody and you actually feel like you will carry now with you for the rest of your life. Like, these are all really fun little tidbits, but there's probably only like 3 or 4 that I've really learned this year that will like carry through the rest of my life as a lesson that I learned in this particular year of like 25. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know what I've got left to do makeup wise. I don't think I actually have anything. I don't know if this is a good format for me, or whether people prefer my like life vlog things, or whether I should just do a combination of both. Because when I actually get into a flow of talking, it's really easy to do. Let me know if you want me to do more of these kinds of videos rather than the other ones. Not that I'm very good at a get ready with me, obviously, but yeah, I guess happy birthday to me. 26 has been, or 25 has been a crazy year and the most fun and the most successful, but also the one that's like led me to do a lot of deep introspection and learn a lot about myself and about all the ways that I still need to learn to be a human on the planet, and can't wait to see what 26 is like. So far it's pretty much the same, but I count myself very lucky for that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you soon. Bye.